Never tell a woman everything that's on your mind, because some things you say can instantly kill her attraction for you, even if she liked you before. The truth is, attraction isn't just about looks, money, or even how nice you are. It's about how you make her feel. And often, what men don't realize is that certain things they say, things that sound innocent, honest, or even loving, actually make a woman lose interest fast. See, women are emotional by nature. They feel before they think. And when you say the wrong thing, you're not just giving away words, you're giving away your power. You're revealing too much of what's going on in your head, exposing your insecurities, and breaking the mystery that keeps her curious about you. Because whether you like it or not, mystery and emotional control are what keep a woman hooked. Now, here's the tricky part. Most men do these things out of good intentions. They think they're being open, kind, or romantic, when in reality, they're killing attraction without even knowing it. A man who knows what not to say can maintain his influence, his calm, and his masculine presence, even when a woman tests him or pushes his buttons. That's what separates the men. Women respect and desire from the ones they lose interest in. So, in today's video, we're breaking down the things you should never tell a woman. No matter how much you like her, these are the words that instantly shift her view of you from confident to uncertain, from masculine to needy, and from mysterious to predictable. Welcome to the channel, where we talk about what actually works in modern dating without the sugarcoating. If you've ever felt like you said something that made a woman act different toward you, this video will show you exactly why and what to do differently next time. 1. Stop telling her how lonely you are. When you tell a woman how lonely you are, you're not building emotional connection. You're creating emotional pressure. What you think sounds like vulnerability often sounds to her like dependence. And nothing turns a woman off faster than the sense that a man's happiness depends on her. Let's be real. Everyone gets lonely sometimes. But when you start sharing that with a woman you're interested in, it instantly changes how she sees you. She stops seeing you as the strong, grounded man who enjoys his life and starts seeing you as someone who's searching for something to fill a void. And women don't want to be the solution to a man's emptiness. They want to join a man who's already fulfilled, already confident, already at peace with himself. Picture this. You're texting her late at night, and you say something like, "Honestly, I get pretty lonely when I don't hear from you." You might think you're just being honest, but to her, that message signals neediness. It makes her feel like she has power over your emotions, and that instantly shifts the dynamic. Suddenly, you're no longer the man she looks up to. You're the man who needs her validation to feel okay. The truth is, women are attracted to men who have options, men who have purpose, men who can stand on their own. When you express loneliness to a woman, what she feels is that you don't have those things, and attraction lives and dies based on what she feels, not what you say. If you want to share your feelings, there's a smarter way to do it. You can express depth without neediness. For example, instead of saying, "I get lonely without you," say, "I enjoy my time alone. It gives me space to reset and focus." That's emotional maturity. That shows you're comfortable in your own world, and she'll naturally want to be part of it. The more you talk about how lonely you are, the more you reinforce that loneliness in your life and in her perception of you. But when you show that you enjoy your own company, when you have your own purpose, and when you're not desperate for connection, women feel that energy. And that's the kind of energy that draws them in. So never tell a woman how lonely you are. Let her feel that you're happy and grounded, even when she's not around, because the moment a woman senses that your peace depends on her presence, she starts to pull away. 2. Never confess that you're scared to lose her. Telling a woman that you're scared to lose her might sound like the honest, heartfelt thing to do, but it actually kills the attraction faster than almost anything else. Why? Because attraction thrives on confidence and security, not fear and uncertainty. The moment you say you're afraid of losing her, you reveal that she's in control of the relationship's direction and that you've emotionally handed over your power. Here's what most men don't realize. Women can feel your emotional energy even when you don't say it. So when you confess fear, whether through words or behavior, it sends one loud message. I need you more than you need me. And that's when a woman subconsciously begins to lose interest. Women want to feel chosen by a man who values himself, not clung to by a man who's terrified of being left. When you're afraid to lose her, you start walking on eggshells, overthinking every message and seeking her approval without even noticing it. You stop being the calm, confident version of yourself that attracted her in the first place. Instead, you start reacting out of fear, and that fear changes everything. The truth is, confidence isn't about pretending not to care. It's about understanding that you'll be okay whether she stays or leaves. When a woman senses that, she relaxes. She feels safe in your strength, not burdened by your fear. But the moment she feels you're holding on too tightly, she instinctively starts to pull away. Not because she's cruel, but because she stops feeling that masculine security that drew her to you. You have to understand something fundamental about attraction. It's built when she respects you, and respect comes from strength, not weakness. A woman might say she wants a man who opens up emotionally, and that's true, but what she really means is that she wants a man who can express emotions without losing control of them. So instead of confessing fear, demonstrate stability. Show through your actions that you care, but that your world doesn't fall apart if she walks away. That doesn't make you cold. It makes you powerful. Because the moment a woman realizes you're not afraid to lose her, she starts worrying about losing you. 3. Don't overshare your emotional struggles. There's a big difference between being emotionally open and emotionally exposed. Most men don't realize it until it's too late. You think you're building intimacy by sharing every fear, insecurity, and hardship. But in reality, you're removing the mystery and strength that keeps her emotionally attracted to you. Here's the truth. Most people won't say out loud. Women are naturally drawn to men who are emotionally steady. That doesn't mean you have to be emotionless. It means you're grounded. You can feel things deeply, but you don't let those feelings control you. When you start oversharing your emotional struggles, like how stressed you are, how anxious you feel, or how much pressure you're under, you shift her role from a romantic partner to a therapist. And once that shift happens, attraction fades. Now let's be clear, women respect emotional honesty. But respect isn't the same as attraction. When you unload too much emotional weight on her, she starts to feel emotionally responsible for your well-being. That's not what she wants from a man. She wants to feel that you're capable of carrying your own weight, that you can handle life's storms without falling apart. Oversharing also removes something powerful, your emotional mystery. A woman doesn't need to know every detail about what you're going through to feel close to you. In fact, keeping some things to yourself creates a sense of depth and strength. She'll admire that you're dealing with something privately, and that quiet confidence often makes her feel safer with you. The problem is, many men have been taught that emotional transparency equals connection. But in dating and attraction, that's not always true. Too much transparency too soon makes her see you as emotionally dependent. Remember, attraction is emotional, not logical. You can tell her your intentions, your dreams, and your purpose. But when it comes to your deeper struggles, manage those with discipline and self-awareness first. If you're going through a tough time, lean on your purpose, your friends, your self-work, not the woman you're dating. That doesn't make you distant. It makes you strong. And that strength is what makes a woman trust your energy, respect your presence, and stay drawn to you. 4. Never tell her you have no other options. One of the fastest ways to kill a woman's attraction is to make her feel like she's the only one who would ever want you. You might think saying something like, "I don't know what I'd do without you," or "You're the only one I can see myself with," sounds romantic or deep. But in her mind, it doesn't create love. It creates pressure. Here's the thing. Women are instinctively drawn to men who are desired by others, who have options, who choose them, not men who make them feel like they're the only lifeline keeping their confidence together. When you tell a woman you have no other options, you remove the very thing that fuels her attraction, your perceived value. Attraction is emotional, not logical. A woman doesn't consciously think, "I'm losing interest because he has no options." But she feels it. She feels that you've placed her at the center of your world, that you've stopped living for yourself, that your life revolves around her validation, and that instantly shifts the dynamic. Instead of wanting to win your attention, she feels stuck with it. Women don't want to complete a man. They want to join a man who's already complete. A man who's growing, who's confident, who's living with purpose. When you have that kind of energy, it naturally creates attraction because it shows independence. But when you tell her, directly or indirectly, that you don't have other options, whether it's romantic, social, or even personal, you send a message that you've settled into emotional dependency. Here's the truth. Having options doesn't always mean other women. It means having a full life, goals, friends, hobbies, self-respect, and boundaries. A woman feels more attracted when she senses that you could walk away if you needed to. Not because you're cold, but because you value yourself. 5. Don't complain about how women treat you. Nothing drains a woman's attraction faster than hearing a man constantly complain about how women treat him. You might think you're just being honest, venting about your past experiences, or trying to show her that you've been hurt. But what she actually hears is bitterness, frustration, and a victim mentality. And the moment a man starts sounding like a victim, attraction begins to die. Here's what you have to understand. Women are emotionally drawn to strength. Not perfection, but resilience. When you complain about how unfair women have been to you, you're showing that other people's actions still control your emotions. You're telling her indirectly that you haven't moved past your pain and that you're still trying to make sense of it through her. That doesn't inspire attraction. It creates emotional distance. Imagine this. You're sitting with a woman and the conversation turns to relationships. You start saying things like, "I've been used before," or "Women just play too many games these days." You're thinking you're just being real. But to her, it doesn't sound like confidence. It sounds like you're carrying old wounds you haven't healed from. And when a woman senses that kind of energy, she doesn't feel safe opening up to you. She feels like she'll end up being blamed for something she didn't cause. Strong men don't complain about what went wrong. They learn from it. They might acknowledge their past, but they don't live there. They understand that not every woman is the same, and they don't let bad experiences make them bitter or closed off. That kind of energy, calm, grounded, self-aware, is what a woman finds magnetic. When you talk too much about how women treat you, you also reveal another thing, that you're focused on them instead of yourself. And the more you focus on what others did wrong, the less power you have over your own life. A man who's in control doesn't waste energy complaining. He uses that energy to improve himself, set better standards, and attract better relationships. 6. Stop asking for reassurance. One of the quietest attraction killers in any relationship is when a man constantly seeks reassurance from a woman. It doesn't always sound obvious. It might come out as, "Do you still like me?" Or, "You don't seem as into me lately." Or even subtle questions like, "Are you sure you're happy with me?" These questions come from insecurity. And insecurity, no matter how softly it's expressed, slowly eats away at attraction. Here's the truth. Women don't want to reassure a man. They want to respect him. A man who constantly needs confirmation of where he stands begins to look uncertain about himself. And when a woman senses that, she starts to question him emotionally, because in her world, a man's confidence is what makes her feel secure. When that confidence starts to shake, her emotions follow. The irony is, most men ask for reassurance because they care. They just want to feel connected, appreciated, and wanted. But when that care turns into emotional dependence, it stops being attractive. Every time you ask her to validate you, you're unknowingly sending the message that you're unsure of your worth. And that instantly changes the dynamic. Instead of feeling drawn to you, she starts to feel responsible for your emotional balance. And once she feels responsible, attraction fades. Because now, instead of being your lover, she's playing the role of your emotional caretaker. That's not sexy. It's exhausting. A woman feels most connected to a man who already knows who he is, with or without her. A man who doesn't chase for reassurance because he's grounded in his own value. When you stop asking for reassurance, you communicate something powerful, that you're emotionally stable, that you trust yourself, and that you don't need constant proof of her feelings to know you're enough. Women naturally test men, not to hurt them, but to feel their emotional strength. They might go quiet, pull back, or act distant for a bit. It's not always because they're losing interest. Sometimes they just want to feel your confidence stay the same, even when things feel uncertain. If your first instinct is to ask for reassurance, you fail that test without realizing it. But if you remain calm, centered, and unbothered, she feels safe again. Because your energy tells her, "I'm good no matter what." That's the kind of man women can't get enough of. The one who doesn't need to ask, "Do you still love me?" Because his presence already earns that love without words. 7. The power of silence. What you don't say matters most. Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can say to a woman is nothing at all. Silence isn't weakness, it's control. It shows that you don't react to every emotion, that you don't need to explain yourself constantly, and that you understand your value doesn't depend on her approval. Most men don't realize how powerful silence can be, especially in moments when emotions are high. They talk too much, explain too much, and end up giving away all their power through their words. Here's the truth. Women feel your energy more than they listen to your words. When she pulls away, tests you, or tries to trigger a reaction, she's not always looking for what you'll say. She's watching how you'll respond. If you stay calm, grounded, and quiet when it matters, she feels your strength. But if you rush to defend yourself, over-explain, or emotionally chase her with words, she feels your weakness. Silence creates emotional space. It gives her room to miss you, to think, and to reflect on her behavior. When you constantly talk or seek to fix things with words, you rob her of that space. And instead of earning her respect, you appear emotionally needy. Here's the part that stings a bit. Sometimes men talk too much because they can't handle uncertainty. They want to fix every misunderstanding immediately, to make sure she still likes them, to smooth out every rough edge in the connection. But that constant need to fix things with words often backfires, because attraction isn't built through explanations, it's built through emotion. And silence communicates emotional control in a way words never can. Think about it. A man who can stay silent when a woman pulls away communicates one thing. I'm not chasing peace, I am peace. That energy makes her question herself. It makes her think about you. It makes her feel the weight of your absence. But a man who immediately reacts, argues, or pleads loses that magnetic pull. This doesn't mean you become cold or detached. It means you understand when to speak and when not to. You express yourself with purpose, not impulse. You listen more than you defend. You hold your frame even when emotions rise. That's real masculine composure. Attraction isn't built through what you say, it's built through what you don't say. Most men lose women not because they're bad guys, but because they talk themselves out of her desire. They over-explain, over-confess, over-express. And in doing so, they strip away the mystery, the calm, and the strength that make a woman feel safe and drawn in. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to hide your emotions. But you do have to learn emotional control. Because in a woman's world, confidence is silent. Insecurity is loud. The man who knows when to speak and when to hold back, who doesn't need constant reassurance, who doesn't confess fears or loneliness just to get validation. That's the man who keeps her respect and her attraction. Here's the controversial truth. Women don't fall in love with men who need them. They fall for men who choose them, without losing themselves in the process. So if you've ever caught yourself saying things that felt honest but seemed to push her away, take this as your wake-up call. Watch your words. Guard your emotional energy. Let your presence speak louder than your need to explain. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever said something to a woman that seemed to change how she acted toward you? Drop your experience in the comments below. I'll be reading through them and responding, because this is the kind of conversation every man needs to have. Keep your edge, stay grounded, and remember, sometimes silence is the loudest form of attraction.